Hello and welcome everyone. This is SEC Fanatic. I am your host, Matthew Johnson. For those of you who this is your first time watching, this show is just essentially for SEC news, interviews of athletes, and just other random sports and stuff that comes up. Okay, so getting on to our first story. This past week, both the NCAA and the SEC have brought out their new rule and policy changes for this upcoming year. Here are a few of the notable changes. Number one, the on-field communications are now limited to 20, and some coaches, especially Auburn's Gus Malzahn, have been really outspoken about their frustration for this. They don't really like the limitation of the communications on field. And for me, I also kind of wonder, I would like to know why they're limiting them. Like, why can't everyone on the sideline communicate? I would like to know what went on behind those doors, and maybe they'll release something. If there's something you know about that, go ahead and let everyone know about why that was a rule. And the second rule is the fair catch rules for football. Fair catching in general just stays the same, except for on kickoffs. Now, on kickoffs, if a person catches the ball and it's a fair catch behind the 25-yard line, it basically acts as a touchback. The ball is placed on the 25-yard line. So, and it's been put in place to try to help regulate these big hits where people try to catch it and then they just get slammed. So now, if you see a person fair catch behind the 20, now they can still catch it and run out if it's their choice, but if it is caught, and it is a fair catch behind the 25-yard line on kickoffs now, it will act as a touchback. Third big rule change is there is no leaping. You can't leap the line of scrimmage. You can't, especially on field goals, you can't leap to block it. That is all now illegal. Now, if you kind of get pushed up or if you fall over, that's a difference. But if you purposefully jump and leave your feet to try to block something, then they're going to call it on you. Also, there's the fourth and final rule change that I'm going to be talking about that's most notable is out of bounds. There's a new rule defining what out of bounds is. And that rule is if that ball basically, there's a more detailed report, but basically if that ball touches anything that is out of bounds, a referee, the ground, a player that is out of bounds, then that ball is out of bounds at that spot. So, say the ball went out of bounds, bounces off a referee, and then a player jumps, grabs it, and slings it back in, it's still out of bounds. Sorry. If it basically hits anything out of bounds, it's out of bounds. The ball is dead. The play is over. So those are a couple quick rule changes. What are your guys' thoughts? Are there any other rules that you guys felt were important that I missed? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so moving on to our player of the week. The player of the week is a man by the name of Elijah McNaam, or McNaam, depending on whichever way you want to pronounce it. He is from Cypress, Texas, and he's a junior from Mississippi State. He scored the home run for the victory that sealed. He scored the home run that sealed the victory for Mississippi State over Florida State. There's a really good interview for him that I liked that SEC Sports did, so the SEC Network. And that link will be posted in this information pop-up thingy that pops up somewhere over here, but I'll throw it up there. And you can check that out if that is something that interests you. Click, click. Okay, so moving on to our next story. Birmingham, Alabama is getting a pro football team. Now, it is not the NFL. I should note that when I first read that headline, I was like, NFL football team in Alabama? Finally. But no, it is the Alliance of American Football who is making this league in Birmingham. And this is a little bit of a bigger deal than one might expect off of just a first glance. It is actually bringing out Reportedly, some big-name former coaches like Steve Spurrier, and they're coming out to help kick off this new organization. Who will coach for Birmingham? That question is still in the air, but AL.com does have a good article that you might want to check out. And for those of you, again, watching YouTube, I'm going to post this link also up here, somewhere above my head. Okay, so moving on to this week's crazy sport. The crazy sport of the week is one that I probably will not pronounce right. It is by the name of Sepek Takraw. Or Sepek Takraw, I don't know. But it's an interesting one. It originated in Malaysia, and it is similar to volleyball in that you have a net and you have a court and you're trying to get a ball over the net. However, there are a few exceptions that make it a little bit different than volleyball. One is that you can only touch it once before it goes over the net. I think volleyball is twice. Here you can only touch it once. And there's also another twist in the fact that you cannot touch it with your hands. So that leads to some pretty athletic hits to get it over the net, which leads me to believe that this is just a sport for those people in Malaysia who were bored with volleyball, who were too athletic to play volleyball, and they were just like, ha ha ha, I dare you to not use your hands, and it caught on as an actual sport. Sepek Takraw. Again, another sport that I will not be playing because I'm not sure that I could get my giant body off the ground enough to use anything but my hands. Maybe I could use my head. I think that would work. But then I would probably walk away with a concussion. Oh well. Alright, thank you guys for watching. This has been SEC Fanatic.